Hey, yo, friendos. What is up, everybody? It is Leading Off right here on Fantasy Pros, brought to you by BetMGM, one of the leaders in U.S. sports betting with the most extensive markets anywhere. You can sign up now using promo code Leading Off and win $150 if your team gets a hit. Friends, it is not your friendo Joey P. It's your side friendo Chris Welsh, and joining me, my in this league brethren, it is Mr. Scott Bogman. Hello, Mr. Scott Bogman.
What is going on? I'm ready to talk some baseball. Obviously, was out of town for the first couple days here.
Where were you? Where were you out of town?
I was in Arizona. I was in your neck of the woods watching the Diamondbacks win opening day and then lose 3 straight in embarrassing fashion. Yeah. So it was a fun trip, but glad to be home and glad to be talking baseball with you here on Leading Off.
And it was Bogman and myself together. We were actually at the Seth Beer infamous game, and I did do the Friday game, unfortunately, where the Diamondbacks were the first team, I believe, ever to be no hit through 6 innings in 2 straight games, which is a pretty awesome accomplishment that our team got to see.
Already setting records this year, so it's going to be a fun year for sure.
It will be. Well, it'll be a fun romp here over on the Fantasy Pros Leading Off. No Joey today. I know the Peanuts and Cracker Jacks are very disappointed. They've got to be, right? I don't know, but I do see some ITL takeover a little bit in this league. But yes, go Cards. There's no Joe today. It is just us, where we're going to talk about all the stuff that happened over the weekend. We are going to go through some props. We have got DFS. We've got some prop betting. It's a really weird, kind of interesting time. I was telling Bogman before we started the show, because we are stepping into like the back end of rotations on the first run through the season. So like, where do you find your bets? But we've got awesome tools here at Fantasy Pros. And then, of course, the home run leaderboard, which I don't want to say, but maybe one person on this show did get their homer this weekend. I got to tell you, I don't remember who Joe had. If the Peanuts and Cracker Jacks remember who Joe even took over the weekend, he took one guy for the whole weekend. So did I.
Might have been Alonzo, if I'm remembering correctly.
I just don't remember. I just don't remember who he had. I just specifically remember who I had, and it absolutely hit. But let's get into all the stuff. Oh, how about the first headline? The chat is literally, you know what? Hold on. Where was it? I just saw right here. Zach, Welsh will have to wait to rub in the Buxton homers to Joe. No, I actually won't, because I will start right now. The headline we have here, is it too early for a Byron Buxton victory lap? Bogman, let me answer. No, it's not. 2 homers on Sunday, 3 through the first 3 games. Here's the question to you, Boggs. Is it too early for me to victory lap over everybody?
Of course it is, because we are 4 games in, so let's relax. But hey, look, I'll say this. Buxton is amazing. Buxton is an amazing player. He's so good. He's first level round talent in a fantasy draft, but he won't stay on the field. But for now, while he's on the field, enjoy it. Take pleasure in it. He is awesome. He is starting the year off super, super white hot. So, I'm here for it. I'm here to watch him go crazy. But also, when he goes down for an extended period of time, I'll be here for that too. So
you are incorrect in your answer simply because of what Wonky Penguin said right here. We have to take the victory lap while he's still out there. I agree.
Sounds like that would make me exactly right in what I just said.
Okay, but I'm just,
that's
you said no.
That's the mean way of saying what I just said right there. That's the mean way of saying
correct, but you said no, it is too early, and it is not too early. Byron Buxton looks as locked in as he's ever looked before, and he's crushing the ball, and you know what? Kind of like him today, too. Maybe we'll talk about him a little bit later. So, no, I don't believe it's too early. I would say that there's always an argument for any of these type of guys. You could make the argument that it's a sell opportunity, because he was a 4th round drafted talent. I've said since day one, he is a 1st round talent. So if you can, trade for peak value and you're a little bit concerned, do it. This is a fantastic time. Will he kind of keep going? Yeah, sure. I think he'll keep going. The injury risk is always looming. If you can't stomach him getting hurt, then it's a great time to go and look out there and see if people are willing, see if there's nuts like me that are willing to buy on him.
Even if you don't want to trade him, right? Especially because he's playing so well, at least dangle and see what kind of crazy offer you're going to get, because people are already impatient. I'm already getting, DMs and messages about some players that I like that have not taken off quite yet. So, people are impatient. So see what you can get at least.
And if I play in a league with you, send me an offer. Send me an offer on Buxton. That's the only disappointment is I don't have Buxton in any of my like dynasty leagues, which is, but I mean, I got like the Vlads and the Acuñas and stuff, but could take myself getting a Buxton. Here's another one. Carlos Rodon in his Giants debut struck out 12, looking phenomenal. Box.
Dude, this is concerning because I'm a 0 shares of Carlos Rodon guy. Concerning. And I think I was also probably low man in his, pre-draft ranking on FantasyPros. I just don't think he's going to last. He is the pitcher Buxton to me, even worse historically than Buxton in terms of him being hurt. So the 12 strikeouts were awesome. When he's going, he's phenomenal, a lot like Buxton, especially since last season. But he does scare me. Like, this is another guy. If he puts together 2, 3, 4 good starts, I'm starting to look to ship him because he just never seems to be able to make it to the end of the season. He didn't do it last year either. But, I mean, zero acclimation time for Carlos Rodon. Just in, and he's good to go, which was surprising and nice to see.
I mean, team context is like, this was something we talked about in the preseason. This is like a great place for him to be. I wanted him to be with the Giants, but it's a very different situation in my mind of injury-prone pitchers versus injury-prone players. Right. And it feels like it's just a matter of time with the injury-prone pitchers. So, yeah, I would be I don't know if this is the game, to be honest with you. Like, it was one good game, but I'm not sure people are willing to pay, like, high prices. You know, something that you could always do in some leagues. Not saying that this would work, but the Brewers pitchers did not look great, by the way. All three of them looked pretty horrid. Well, at least Burns and Woodruff specifically looked pretty horrid.
His ERA is like 17 right now.
You could always, you get impatience in leagues and stuff. You could put a Carlos Rodon after a 12 strikeout performance, and you could probably put an offer out for any of the three of those pitchers, and maybe you can get something done. Not saying it will happen, but you could consider it. Noah Syndergaard, Justin Verlander, face-off battle of the return injured pitchers. Syndergaard went 5 2/3. He gave up 2 hits, 2 walks, only had Syndergaard, 5 2/3, 2 hits, 2 walks, only 1 strikeout, where Verlander went 5, 1 earned run, 7 Ks with 3 walks. And Boggs, Verlander was Pia's like dark horse, or really pretty outspoken Cy Young potential winner of the year. Any takeaways from Verlander and Syndergaard going on? I mean, at least I would say my biggest takeaway I'd throw out to you is they both went 5.
Yes.
Which was like the biggest win, regardless of any of the other
That's the biggest
stats.
thing. That's the absolute biggest thing, is they both look healthy and ready to rock. And I think the biggest news wasn't even in the game. It was the Angels saying that Noah Syndergaard will have no innings limit at all this season. So already starting out going over 5 for a guy that was hurt most of the year last year is just it's fantastic news. And Verlander just looks like he's right back to the Verlander you expect. There's no blip. There's no recovery time or whatever. Looks like he's all ready to rock. So that is great news, and glad to see those guys look at least sharp going deep into games. Syndergaard wasn't quite there with strikeouts, but I expect that to ramp back up pretty quick here.
I'm very encouraged by Verlander that, the play was to draft him kind of earlier in drafts. When it came closer to the start of the draft season, you were paying a little bit of a higher cost. I wonder if you can still get in on, it's not really a sub-basement floor type of price, but, like that median price, like outside the top 75 or right at 75. That would be something I'm interested in, because once he strings a couple more of these along, it's not going to be cost efficient anymore. I'm a believer in Verlander. I mean, he's built to go full season long, regardless of coming off the injury. I think this is very encouraging. And then the last one on our big headlines, Hunter Green debuted, just throwing like a casual 2,100 plus mile per hour pitches in his debut, Boggs.
I mean, something like that to me, it just says to me, all right, well, let's get 5 better guys in the rotation so this guy can be on the back end, right? Which just that crazy, that's Chapman level. That was what Chapman looked like when he came in and started firing, because remember, he initially came up as a starter, but obviously was moved to that relief role.
With the Reds, by the way.
Yeah, with the Reds, absolutely. I remember seeing him hit 104 on the gun at Chase Field. So,
and I was like, I thought that was only for MLB The Show. I'm like,
I know. I thought that was fake. I was like, I saw it. I'm like, well, I mean, that gun's juice, but he's probably hitting 102. Yeah. And then, it wasn't. He's just touching 104. So, man, Hunter Green looks amazing, but you're the prospect guy. What did you see out of his first start here?
Yeah, I mean, the problem I still have at the end of the day is how the fastball straightens out, and it's actually very reminiscent of Aroldis. I could still see, I hate to say, I could still see a long-term thing where he would go to a bullpen, but the Reds are in this kind of rebuild mode that it would make no sense.
There's no reason.
There's no reason. Yeah. They should push as hard as they can for as long as they can to continue him in the rotation, which I think he will. I personally like Lodolo a little bit more, and Lodolo, I believe, is debuting tomorrow on Tuesday. Or is it today? It's Monday or Tuesday. I don't remember which one it is. Cross my fingers that I say I like Lodolo and he doesn't get lit for 8 or something like that. But I think Lodolo is just a better pitcher, but Green has got phenomenal stuff, and he was pumping off 2,100 mile an hours, which is ridiculous. Speaking of some MPHs, here is a fun fact, and this came from Codify. 117.9 miles per hour off the bat, and it went 467. This is their actual tweet. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has never hit a home run harder or farther during his MLB career than what he hit on Sunday. 117.9 going 467, Boggs. Our boy Vladdy Jr.
How about some of those scores from yesterday's game? Looking like SEC scores yesterday. But yeah. Vlad with an absolute moonshot. The dude's going to hit one like well over 500 at some point here. I want to see Hunter Green versus Vlad. That is what I want to see.
I do.
I want to see how far that ball would go. It would look like, you remember when, the farthest homer anyone in the world has ever seen hit, because the roof was closed, so we have no idea how far it would actually go. But the Pujols off Lidge, that's what I want to see.
Oh, yeah.
Ones. Yeah, and just an absolute moonshot, and that was one of them yesterday. And it's just, we're 4 days into the year, and Vlad hits his longest career homer ever. Going to be a fun season to watch Vlad. Going to see a lot of him.
Oh, and you know who had him this weekend in the home run contest? Me. That was my guy. That was my homer. That was,
it's all right,
actually,
guys. I'm back from vacation. We're gonna start getting a new lead in here. So
I don't have a lead. Actually, we'll talk about that in a minute. But technically, I just want to point out, as soon as I pick him, he hits it harder and farther than he's ever done ever. Yeah. I just want to point out, is there a correlation?
I mean, has anyone ever tried to take Vlad's accomplishments and make them their own more than the Welsh has? I don't know. Maybe his buddies. Maybe his hanger-ons. You're a hanger-on, and you never even hung out with the guy a night.
I mean, I just want to say it might be the duties of this host chair.
I want to say you never met him, but you probably have met him, right?
I have,
at the
a couple times.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Here's some stat heroes from the weekend.
He
didn't stay at my house, but I would have let him if he needed to. Okay. Here's some stat heroes from the weekend. We were at this game. Sean Manaea went 7, no hit, walked 1, 7 strikeouts. I was audibly upset that Melvin did it again, that he took another guy out for a no-hitter. I just wanted to see it at that point. That was against our Diamondbacks, and as I mentioned before, second consecutive Padres starter to be removed on an active no-hitter, and the first time a team has been no-hit through the first 6 innings in 2 straight games. What an awesome accomplishment. Rodano, we talked about, 5 with 12 Ks. Kyle Gibson, 7 innings, only gave up 2 hits with 10 strikeouts.
Chris Bassett. Kyle Gibson.
I know. Chris Bassett, 6 with 8 Ks and 3 hits for the Mets. Dylan Cease, 5 innings with 8 Ks, but he had 3 walks, gave up 1 earned run. Joe Musgrove against the Diamondbacks. That's going to be a big play for you this year, is just go up against the Diamondbacks. He went 6. 2 earned runs, 5 hits, 8 strikeouts. Robbie Ray had 5 strikeouts in a win over the Twins where he went 7. And Max Scherzer, 6 innings, 6 Ks, 3 earned runs with a walk, with a win over the Nationals. So of those pitchers, Bogman, what jumped out to you? Obviously, besides Rodon, because we already talked about him.
Right. Well, Rodon we already talked about. But just how unimpressive I expect Sean Manaea and Joe Musgrove to look in their next matchup that's not against the Diamondbacks, because the Diamondbacks lineup is miserable right now. But like you said, that's going to be something you can take advantage in DFS and in your season-long years all year long, as long as these Diamondbacks look as bad as they do. But I think one of these things is not like the other here, Welsh, right? And Kyle Gibson is the one that is not like the rest of these guys. if I told you that Sham and I had 7 no-hit innings at some point in the year and got yanked, you would not be surprised. I don't think any of these other guys are really shocking. Scherzer's great. Musgrove has been great. Cease is an awesome strikeout guy. We expected Bassett to get better with his strikeouts in New York, but Kyle Gibson rolling out there and spinning 10 strikeouts on his first start makes me kind of go, we need to be spending some money or attention, or we need to be spending something on Kyle Gibson here. So he is the absolute one that stands out to me here.
Yeah, there's a big, like a ton of strikeout guys in this margin. I agree with you. Gibson wasn't quite on that list, and he was kind of a back-end drafted player for some. Some might be able to treat him as like a streaming option. So that's a good one. Here's a good question by Wonky.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Who is the best team to stream against, D-backs, Pirates, or Orioles? And I think that is really tough because I would chalk it down to the Diamondbacks or Pirates. I would say pitching, streaming, and that's obviously the question. I really like it against the Diamondbacks, but I think if you're going like full slate of hitters and pitchers, it's probably the Pirates. But strictly pitcher against team, I think the Diamondbacks right now, especially, and that might change
especially
back to
like
the Pirates.
Right now, yeah.
But like Rojas isn't healthy, and they don't have any rhythm. They've looked as worse as they've ever looked since I've seen them. So I would go that way. But if you're looking for a whole collection, I would say the Pirates.
It's such a good question, but it correlates to, what do you like better? You like food, oxygen, or water, right? Like you got to have all of them, right? So you got to mix those three to survive. So those are definitely your basic ingredients of setting everyday lineups and DFS lineups.
The Orioles are like the food because like we could go without them for a little bit. Right. The Diamondbacks are the water, and then the Pirates are probably the oxygen. So about 2 minutes for the Pirates, about a day for the Diamondbacks, and about a week for the Orioles. So oxygen, water, food. That's a great correlation there, Boggs. Looking over at Stat Hero hitters, how about Mr. Stephen Kwan, who is batting 800 with a 1.857 OPS. He's batted 469 with an over 1,000 OPS in spring training. He had a 5-for-5 day. Let's just stop there for a second and say, how interested are you in Stephen Kwan? You know, I am. In TGFBI, I actually drafted him, so I didn't have to play the waiver thing.
You took him in our AL only, too, didn't you?
I also took him in AL, so I've got some shares of Stephen Kwan. But let me get your take on where you are at with Stephen Kwan.
Well, look, I think it's just as too early to panic about the guys that are hitting this well than the guys that aren't. But look, when you're having success, who cares what part of the year it is, right? Like, I get adding him in your DFS lineups because he's still cheap. I get adding him in deeper leagues as well because he's hitting well, and he's in one of those lineups where it's not like he's an injury replacement and someone's going to come back and take a job at some point, right? The guy has an opportunity in Cleveland. So, I mean, I'm in. I'm in on buying it on Stephen Kwan and saying, because, it's going to be relatively cheap. And if he doesn't work out, and he goes over 12 in his next 12 at-bats, you just cut him and be done with him. So I'm absolutely all in on, getting invested in Stephen Kwan a little bit here.
I don't think it's a decision between like being in to pick up. He was probably the biggest waiver pickup, as our boy Pickles in there just pointed out, that he didn't strike out in spring training. I mean, this is his MO, though. The problem is, and I've likened him to Luis Arraez in that, by the way, Luis Arraez hit a monster homer this weekend. But Luis Arraez is a high contact, not a big strikeout, high contact, on base-ish type of guy because he just doesn't swing at bad pitches. But he also doesn't provide a lot of other counting stats. My worry is Stephen Kwan is going to be in that same area. I think the best piece of advice is you put him out there if you own him. You should put him out there in trade talks to see what people are willing to do. At the end of the day, he's going to make great contact, which might be a little bit better for points leagues, I suppose. Or, if you can manage it in, really either any format, if you need a batting average help, that's going to be his play. But where he differs from Arraez or Nick Madrigal, that's going to be the separating difference. But he's an amazing hitter. He's just not a lot of the other stuff, which makes him a little bit of fool's gold sometimes in fantasy. A couple other hitters: Anthony Rizzo, 2 homers, 3 for 10 over the weekend, 6 RBI. Seiya Suzuki, 2 for 6 with 6 RBI in his first homer. Andrew Vaughn had 2 bombs, 6 RBI going 4 for 10. Arenado, homer with 5 RBI going 5 for 8. And Bregman was 4 for 10 with a homer and 4 RBI. All very good performances. Seiya Suzuki off to a pretty hot start as well, Boggs.
Yeah, Suzuki with the bomb yesterday and just looking like he is easily adjusting to the big league game. So, I mean, Arenado, super impressive already. I remember sitting in the stands going, dude, Arenado's 4 for 4 today. Guy has been absolutely on fire.
He saved me on like an opening day. Already. He saved me on an opening day prop bet I said on the show, bomb. I said the 1.5 total bases, and he hit that bomb right at the bottom. So
you're welcome for that. I conjured that homer out of Arenado.
You did at the bar. You're like, he just hit the homer.
Just hit it. Just go yard. Let's go.
Some stat zeros. Pitchers. Jose Barrios could only go 1/3 of an inning, giving up 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and a no decision against the Rangers. He looked awful. Ian Anderson, 2 2/3, giving up 5 earned runs, and he walked 5. Woof. Frankie Montas, 5 innings, 5 earned runs, 6 Ks and a loss, also giving up 6 hits with only 1 walk, which wasn't too bad. 3 1/3 for Hyun-Jin Ryu with 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, no decision against the Rangers. And Brandon Woodruff, 3 2/3, 7 earned runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, and a partridge in a pear tree. He was all the awful that you could possibly get from those pitchers. I know Barrios is the one that stood out to both of us. He was just awful.
Yeah, I was sitting in a sports book in Arizona watching him, and I'm like, he's not going to get an out. They're pulling him.
Nope.
Because there's no sound. I'm screaming at the television because I am heavily invested in Barrios. But look, I'm not hitting the panic button on any of these pitchers. Not happening yet. All right. Not going to do it.
His stat zeros from the weekend for hitters. Cedric Mullins only 2 for 11 with 7 strikeouts. Bogman, you're a big Cedric Mullins guy. Is it too early to be worried?
Yes, of course. You want to be the guy on Twitter yelling at me about how bad Robbie Grossman is, right?
No, you don't want to be that guy.
We're 4 days in, guys. Like I'm just not worried. You know, sometimes these bad performances can lead to season-long struggles, but we're not going to make 4 days a federal case yet. So, unless they're serial bad and they're bad all the way through the end of this week, no panic button yet.
Also, Pete Alonso, 2 for 14, homer, 4 RBI, which, again, he'll take that from Alonso, but hitting 143. Yeah, hit in the face, reflective about his car accident. It's nuts. There's some young guys struggling as well. Julio Rodriguez is started off really bad, 1 for 12, 6 strikeouts, hitting sub 100. Seems to be a Mariners type of rookie thing. Spencer Torkelson, 0 for 8 with 6 strikeouts. And maybe nobody is worse, even though he's not like a prospect anymore. He's a young dude. Joe Adell, 0 for 6 with 4 strikeouts. And Jeff Fletcher shared this tweet box that Joe Adell has seen 34 pitches this year. 17 of them have been breaking balls. He is 0 for 8 with 6 strikeouts. So I guess not 0 for 6, 0 for 8. That is brutal. And we are back to old school Joe Adell struggling. And I don't know if you saw that throw where it was like, he's going to throw to home, and he threw to the dugout over at first base. It's one of the worst throws I've ever seen in my life.
Homie's got the yips right now, it looks like. So, let's he might be one of those spring training guys. There's plenty of those guys that are just crazy good in spring training. Whatever Arizona weather does it for them, they get back to the regular slate and are terrible. Maybe he's one of those guys. So, hope not. Hope he gets right on track, but I ain't holding my breath. 0 shares of Joe Adell for me. None.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Let's go take a look over at some bets. If you go to bettingpros.com/MLB props, they have got the prop cheat sheet, which you guys can check out. It's a very valuable tool. Takes their projections and it goes up against all of the books, and it can tell you where the biggest differentials are. As far as the props go today, I'm going to give you the top 3 pitcher and hitter that are on the sheet, and then I'm going to give you a couple that I like. And number 1 is actually Eliezer Hernandez strikeouts, which are set at a very low 3.5 over on DraftKings, and he's projected over 5, so that is one of the top ones. You've got Dylan Bundy, which I don't actually particularly like this one because it's Dylan Bundy, but it's a low K marker at 3.5, and that's over at BetMGM with a projected over 5. And Taylor Hearn with the Rangers, again, 3.5. They're really being able to kind of target these guys at low strikeout totals, and that's the thing you can take advantage of early on. 3.5 projected just under 5 over on DraftKings. Those are the top 3 pitchers. The top 3 hitters, you've got Who do you have?
That's
have
Connor Joe.
Yeah, Connor Joe. Dude, I was about to say Joe Connor for some reason as I was going. Well, it's Connor Joe.
That's what you get when you have two first names, right?
Yeah, exactly. And how I copied this, it didn't go on here. They've got total bases. He is projected. This is the under, actually. He is projected under 1, and it's set at 1.5. And it's actually a nice -128 over on BetMGM. That's a pretty nice one. You've got the under total bases on Tyrone Taylor over at BetMGM. Again, projected under 1. And they really love these. I've noticed they picked on Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani's total bases under 1.5 because he is projected right under that 1.5 at -125. He's projected, I think, at like I don't even think they're projecting on the total bases on him. I think that's a dangerous one. Here are two that I like though. Alex Wood strikeouts over 4.5 against Seattle. Seattle is currently tied for the 8th most strikeouts in baseball, and they're putting out guys like Julio Rodriguez, Jared Kelenic, Eugenio Suarez. The top of the lineup is a little bit risky as far as getting the Ks, but on the back end, it's good. So if you've got a pitcher like Alex Wood, who I think can go deep, I really, really love this one, and I will personally be making this. And you've got Mike Trout total bases over 1.5 against Eliezer Hernandez. Trout currently has 2 straight games with extra base hits. He's got 3 hits in 4 games. He has a double and then a homer from the day before. So I like Mike Trout, total bases 1.5, and I like Alex Wood 4.5. You like those, Boggs?
I do. I like the Mike Trout one specifically, and the Alex Wood one. I mean, you've been crushing those strikeout ones early in the year, so I would definitely take Welsh's advice on those K ones. Those are the ones he's been rolling real well with.
Yeah, and oh man, I got brutalized yesterday. I hit every single one leading up until yesterday, and I took Trevor Rogers at 4.5 against the Giants, and whammy. And
whammy.
That did not work out well for me, unfortunately, because I think he ended at 4, and he had a little bit of a rough. It was a little bit of a rough go on that game, which was a bit disappointing. Let's jump over DFS slate. Boggs, you actually did our DFS slate, and there's some. I'm going to just read off a couple, and you just throw me a name or two that you like. For DK, some of the prices, you got Manoah at 10.2. You've got Alex Wood at 9.2, which I like, up against Alex Wood up against San Diego, reminding the strikeout numbers there. Suarez has got the Mets at 8.9. Hinoa's at Washington, 8.6. I'll leave it there. What guys do you like as far as DK pitching-wise?
Suarez at 8.9 against the Mets. He's got a really good track record. Hinoa also very strong against Washington last year in a couple starts, and just not a lot of great PVB data against him. So those are probably my 2 favorite DK guys on this slate today.
Over on FanDuel, 9.9 for Manoah. Suarez, 9.6. So you're going to pay up more for Suarez over on FanDuel, relatively compared to DK. He's 9.6. Alex Wood, 9.2. Yanoa is 8.6. I got to say, I'm probably pretty heavy Alex Wood today up against San Diego, so I'm invested in those. Game stacks, you've got Philly. Philly is going up against Taijuan Walker. They put a big offense. Toronto going up against Taillon, which they're we'll talk about in the lineup builders here in a second. And the Angels against Eliezer Hernandez, even though that strikeout prop is like their number 1, I like the offense up against Eliezer. So the lineup builders is interesting because there are some big plays. I'm going to let you actually read them, Boggs. You put these together, but it's going to show off Toronto and maybe the guy who's the play of the day and everything as well.
Yes. Real quick, just want to mention that Michael Lorenzen against these Marlins right here, 5 for 39 with a 147 average against him. So nice cheap play. You're looking for a cheap DFS guy. Schwarber, 5 for 10 with 5 bombs off Walker. Play of the day. Play Schwarber everywhere. He's expensive. Doesn't matter. Buxton, 3 for 3 with a double and a homer versus Flexen. He's 5.9 on DK, 3.7 on FanDuel. Alec Boehm, one of the few guys he's got a good track record against, is Taijuan Walker. 4 for 10, a double and a homer is 3.7 and 2.8 respectfully. Real Muto, 3 for 8 with a bomb against Taijuan. 4.6 on DK, 3.6 on FanDuel. Vlad and Bichette, both 3 for 7 versus Taillon. Vlad 6.1 and 4.5. Bichette 5.4 and 4.3. Anthony Rendon 4.3, 3.1, 6 for 10, a double, 2 bombs against Eliezer Hernandez, which is why I like to stack those Angels. And Crawford 6 for 15 with 2 doubles against Bundy. He is 3.8 and 2.6. So those are the guys I like to set your DFS lineup for the day.
And ladies and gentlemen, of course, last but not least, the home run contest which you guys can take part in over on the Fantasy Pros Discord. You guys got to come and check it out. You got to be a part of the premium. So if you sign up on premium, you can get in. There's Pristine Auction. I think we're going to have some winners in that from Pristine Auction. We'll be doing, Joe will probably tell more about that. But if you sign up, get premium, Mike Mayer has got a cool setup that's going to track it, and you can do your daily home run calls. The leaderboard, currently there are 8 people that have hit 2 dingers, Lawnmower Man 4.4, I see as the top. We've also got, I'm not going to even go through all the names, but Terry I see on there. There's 8 people. I am on the board. I do not know if Joe is on the board. I do not.
He had Shohei over the weekend, so no.
So he is
on the board.
Not on the board. I'm on the board. He's not. That's a huge win. So Bogman, I'll let you go first. Who is your home run call of the day?
Easy. Let's get a Schwarber. 5 for 10 with 5 homers. Easy peasy, baby. Let's get that 6 Schwarber. Let's go.
I don't care that he had 2 in one game. I don't care that he's had 3 so far. Today, it's Byron Buxton day. I am back on it. I should have taken Buxton over the weekend. I would be the leader had I gone with my guy. It's a great matchup today. I'm taking Byron Buxton on the home run call. Who are you guys taking? Join up on the Discord, and you guys can join in the action, and maybe you can get on the leaderboard, and we're going to start getting some separation as we go here. Again, friendos, leading off is brought to you by BetMGM. You guys can use the promo code leading off, and you guys can get hooked up. Use that promo code today. Bogman, we did great. I think we filled in for Joe. We didn't have all of his swagger or anything like that, but we did it. There we go. That's it.
We did it. I'll be back tomorrow with Joe.
That's no, I will be back tomorrow, and you are filling in for me on Friday.
That's right. We're switching.
Happening.
My bad.
It'll be Joe and myself tomorrow. You can find Bogman on Twitter at Bogman Sports, me on Twitter at IsItTheWelsh. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the action. You get notified when the podcast is live, obviously the podcast version and the live streaming version. But that's it. That's all we got for you. Fantastic start to the new week. Hopefully all your waivers worked out. Hopefully your home run calls are beautiful. And go prop it up. You guys know where to find us. Until next time, friends. What is it? What does Joe say? The story of the game goes on. I don't even know. For Bogman, I'm Welsh. We're going to get out of here, though.